This is Andy, and we're going to talk about the sound of drums. As you can see, it's a very dark evening. I'm at the beach. I wanted to come down when there was some moonlight, but there is none. It's just foggy. I don't know if you can see Sarah and Nimley in the distance, but they're ahead of me. So, the sound of drums is a very personal story and an old story. I actually wrote the first draft of The Sound of Drums when I was 15 years old. When I was young, I used to go on holiday every summer to my grandparents' house in Devon. And for those of you who know England, Exmoor is in Devon. And the bits about the wild horses, that's all true. Not for me, I didn't actually touch a wild horse, but I imagined I could. Because when I was there was nothing really to do. So I'd go for long walks on the moors and actually climbed a tree that I imagined is the tree in the story. Now that story I found a couple of years ago in a drawer, and I loved the idea, so I rewrote it for this series of books. Now, Jason is very much based on me when I was a kid. I love to drum. I still love to drum, but I'm not very good at it. I think Jason's a bit better than me, so maybe he's what I wanted to be. And I based the house, not on my grandparents' house, but on a house I used to walk past on Exmoor. A broken down old thing that I imagined living inside. The cat, Jackie Boy, is actually a real cat. He's a cat that turned up at our house in Sweden one winter. In the pouring rain, he appeared at our kitchen window, meowling through. So we brought him inside because he was wet and cold. And then he became our cat. And he was our cat for a long time. And he looked exactly like a sack of coal, and he would open one eye and hiss at anybody who came near him, but he was so full of love. Riding the horses, I'm not a horse rider, but I have friends who are, and they tell me about the feeling of freedom when you ride a horse and that connection you have with the animal, and I always found that a really, really cool thing, so I wanted to write about that. And the last thing to say is the conversation about eating meat between Gran and Jason. Well, that's a real conversation, but in reality, I was playing the role of Gran, so I was talking to a rather irritating student, to be honest, about why I was a vegetarian, and they gave me the exact same argument that Jason gives in the book. And that's the answer I gave them. Fortunately, I'm now friends with that student, but I'm not going to mention any names. I don't want to embarrass anybody. And that's the sound of drums. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're interested, you can research the wild horses on Exmoor. They really are one of the oldest tribes of European horses. And there's not going to be a sequel to this story, but I will be doing other books about Jason.